really does need to, for his own career's sake, Robin Nahas, he can't afford to be cramping up as a small forward during the third quarter, so he needs to work on his fitness base there. So we'll keep an eye out as to when Coach Scott does make that move.
Start of the final term on Friday Night Football. Sandilands favoured by the bounce, thumps it forward. Runs down towards half forward. Bastanak grabs it. Kicks towards Petrie. Oh, that was a good mark. Off balance, McFarlane stretching high. Duffield runs himself into trouble. But okay to get out of it to Hill. Dangerous kick. Getting a fist in there. Hansen. Well done. Majak Dawes away. Not all that convincing. The bounce. The kick just swings right to left. And goes through for a minor score. That's how he got his goal earlier. He's kicked a 1. Just breaking through 50. And last time he was online.
What about those arms? That bounce would have got away from any other player in the AFL. That was remarkable from Daw. So McFarlane to himself, long ball towards a half-back, and Goldstein, well done. Well, if North Melbourne can win here, it will be some win, that's for sure. North have lost their last 6 here at Patterson's and 12 of their last 14. It has not been a happy hunting ground for them at all, but trailing by just 2 points. They have been quite outstanding tonight. Zeeble missed it. Cunnington. Quick kick, top of the square. Petrie, Johnson going back. Petrie and McFarlane took care of each other. And that allowed Johnson just to drift in and take yet another uncontested mark. Disposal number 22 now. Has a bounce. Inside defensive 50 when he kicks. Not a good kick. In fact, a shocking kick.
Just watched where Lockie Hansen started. His direct opponent was Daniel Pearce, and Pearce is obviously hunting the ball as is his way through the middle of the ground. So Lockie Hansen's going to sit back all day and basically make it impossible for Pavlich, and it'll be Johnson from Fremantle and Hansen from North Melbourne playing keepies off.
What a beautiful kick from Atley too, getting in behind Spur, just lobbing it tantalisingly over his head. And the mark taken by Bastanak, who's within scoring range.
Fremantle look confused when they have the ball in their back half now, don't they? They look up, all their players are covered, whereas the Kangaroos picking the right options.
Fremantle lead by 2 points. Just to change that. Interesting piece of space junk coming in, slapped across the line by Johnson. So a point the difference. 56 plays 55. Early going final turn.
It's like Skylab drifting in. Here's Johnson. He has been a winner for Fremantle tonight, but there haven't been too many. Goldstein again, well done by Hansen at the back. Gibson, Mullet, now Greenwood. The kick not good. It could have been better from there. It was neither one thing nor the other. It wasn't really a shot on goal, and it wasn't popped to the top of the goal square. Still out of bounds in an attacking area for North.
Yeah, it's not a bad result for North. An opportunity to have the ball deep inside their forward 50.
So Freo by a point. They're clinging to this lead at the moment, and they don't look like holding it for long. Quick kick out of the pack. Bouncing. Gibson has kicked the goal. North in front. Well, they didn't look like holding the lead, and indeed they didn't. About another 15 seconds, and right now Fremantle don't look like they've got any answers. They're flat-footed. Their skills have been poor all night. They've had very little to kick to, and it's been noticeable. No Ballantyne, no Walters, and Main out of form.
Yeah, everything going the Kangaroos' way at the moment, isn't it? They have numbers around the fall of the ball when they kick the ball. Fremantle kick the ball out. It's the Kangaroos with numbers at the fall, and they had the numbers around that stoppage and were able to get what was in the end a pretty easy goal.
Gibson, nowhere to go, taken down by Mundy.
Nahas is out of the game, boys. There he is sitting on the bench. So 2 minutes he had, the burst that Brad Scott was talking about.
Got amongst it.
Mundy, nicely done by Sandilands to get the ball to him. Kick towards the 50. This is Crozier running away from his own goal. Under pressure, goes to Pavlich. Heard a voice, goes back to Hill. Tries to thread this one to Main. Play on's the call. Slapped out of there by Ferrito. After the football goes Bastanak. Coming over the top is Clancy Pearce. That ball bouncing around in there. Stumbling forward is Mundy. Was it Crowley? It's Crowley. And we'll have a ball up about 45 metres out.
Bit unlucky there. Main thought he probably could have got a free kick, but still the Kangaroos were the ones with the numbers.
Extra play back.
Sandilands, 5. Sprays it wide right. Does it stay in? No, it does not.
So then, mate, if we're talking about an extra player back for North Melbourne, you have to ask the question about Fremantle's representation across half forward. Is it? I know it's been a long time since this move's been played, but would you swing a McFarlane forward as a half forward to give Pavlich a chop out as well?
Well, I'm not sure about that. For mine, it's just the Kangaroos, as I said, getting numbers around the footy, but they're just making better decisions and they're cleaner with their skills. Fremantle look flustered. They're bombing the ball and making basic fundamental skill errors. I mean, you can't win a game of footy against quality opposition, and the Kangaroos are exactly that, especially tonight.
And they really should be further in front, Wayne. Since half-time, 2 goals for Fremantle, 3 goals, 7 for North Melbourne.
I think it's probably been fairly dominant, probably from quarter time onwards.
Yeah.
Bastanak gave it to Fife. Fife's holding the ball. Well, even Nat Fife just wasn't sure what to do, and their confidence is at rock bottom at the moment.
That's what it is. And I guess when I was talking about greater representation across half forward for Freo, it's just to give them a little bit of direction, because you're right, ball in hand, they don't know where to go at the moment, Fremantle.
Nice work there, the 2 17s, Crozier and Grimer, and well, Crozier got an important fist in there. So our man Kirky at the front with the glasses up, and Ross Lyon with some thinking to do.
Boundary throw in.
The Saturday afternoon teams stick together, Dan.
You got
Absolutely.
it. There goes Hill. Well done by Sandilands to give him the ball, decisively flicking it down behind, but Hill cursing his luck.
The last time we were here for the prelim Freo in Sydney, it was the best pressure display I've ever seen from the Fremantle Dockers. There's no doubt they're down on energy. Their pressure's nowhere near that. They miss Walters and Ballantyne desperately.
Hansen to the outer side. Forster, Hill under pressure. Daniel Pearce close to the boundary line. It goes out, but to balance the ledger, I mean, North missing their joint best and fairest winners from last season, Wells and Thompson. I don't think that Fremantle can claim that they've got any disadvantage, really.
No, I think
players out.
One of the great strengths of the best teams in the competition, it doesn't matter who plays in your team. I mean, they're able to play their role and still win games of footy. So I don't think Ross Lyon would be thinking that we've got a couple of players out.
He won't use that excuse.
Thomas bounces one down towards the pocket. McFarlane goes back, in trouble. Quickly up to his feet. Crowley, Dawson, here's Johnson in the back pocket, lobs it to Sheridan. Nothing up ahead. Blank canvas confronting the young man.
Move it on, play on.
This will kick for distance. High ball. Sandilands trying to get to the contest. Well, he dropped it. Gibson has kicked 2 goals, the only multiple goal scorer for the Kangaroos tonight. Just pushing it out of bounds.
Above his head, he's been poor tonight. Hasn't taken a mark, Aaron Sandilands.
No, and credit where credit's due. I mean, the Kangaroos, when Fremantle have had the ball in their defence, the Kangaroos have made them kick long to a contest and then created another stoppage. I mean, they haven't allowed Fremantle to get any run off half-back after quarter time.
And to highlight the inability of Fremantle to kick the ball well, they're running at 38% kicking efficiency this quarter, well down on their usual standards.
Gibson had the footy over the line, kicked the last goal. Only multiple goal scorer for North Melbourne, 2 goals, 1. He gave them the lead. They're up by 5 points. The umpire hovering dangerously. The arms went out. And umpire Dalglish says holding the ball.
And that's pertinent for all the doom and gloom for Fremantle. They're only 5 points down, so just tinker with a few things.
Don't look like it at the moment, though. McKenzie, good kick, Black Door, did well, got the handball away, but only as far as Johnson. Now Dawson, Spur, Neal. They've used it well to Sutcliffe. That's better from Fremantle. Now Main, worried out of it again by Fafarido. Just doesn't look right at the moment, Chris Main. Fafarido well played. Kick into the middle of the ground, superb. And McKenzie takes it and goes.
Oh.
The kick is superb. Onto the chest of Drew Petrie. How about that?
Well, we haven't seen that too often today. We've seen it a few times from both sides, but right now it's the Kangaroos that are showing Fremantle a clean pair of heels in terms of the way to use the footy and the way to bring it inside their forward 50. That was just a beautiful kick.
Well, we mentioned at the top of the night, Drew Petrie, just the 9th North Melbourne player to reach 250 games. 3-time leading goal scorer for the club. An All-Australian in 2011. This to give them an 11-point lead. He's got 2, Drew, and North are looking good.
It's a beautiful kick in from Brad McKenzie. He's the sub who's come on with the fresh legs with Robin Nahas going off. Just, again, looked really dangerous, North Melbourne, when they've brought the ball inside and used the corridor. It's just a perfectly weighted kick. And Big Drew in his 250th, he's had a good game. He's kicked a couple of goals. He's battled manfully against Luke McFarlane all night. Provided a consistent target across half forward.
Playing in his 250th, Big Drew, he'll love that goal to put the Kangaroos 11 points up. He's been a great servant of the club and he served them very well tonight.
Margin 11 points then. Knocked down by Goldstein, slapped away by Fife, tracks it out towards the wing, kicks towards half forward. This is where the problems begin. And Ferrito full-chested takes the mark. It's interesting, I was taking a peek at the North Melbourne website this morning and they highlighted the kicking of Brad McKenzie during a practice match at training during the week. Quite outstanding. Did that about half a dozen times. Spur. But he delivered in match conditions. That was wonderful. Led to a goal for Petrie. Here's Mazungu. Up towards the wing, and the mark is taken by Crozier.
Freo's forward scout needed to log on.
He did.
He's true to form, Brad McKenzie. This is the area now that Freo need to get right.
So Johnson held it for a while. Clark, Crowley, quiet night. The advantage is paid. Pavlich, there was no real advantage with the kick in the end, and 2 against 1 for Pavlich.
No, your free kick.
Ball fisted over the line. It's a 10-point ball game. Ferrito it was with a big spoil, not for the first time tonight.
When we think about Fremantle, I mean, they played in last year's grand final, we think of them as having good decision makers and good users of the ball. Tonight that's eluded them.
Because they play the game in tight spaces, don't they? So it's really let them down, and again on that occasion it was a 2-on-1 side their forward 50, favouring North Melbourne.
Another nice kick from McKenzie, putting Fremantle under pressure. That score by the Dockers, their first in 24 minutes. They're behind. Says everything that needs to be said. Young McDonald. Oh, not a good kick. Taken by Main. Pavlich. McDonald trying to make amends. Back to Main. On the overlap is Hill. I'd like to be as certain of this one. Ooh, steady on. He's missed. Most unlike him. He was through. And normally, how many times out of 10, Baz? Oh. We've seen a bit of him at Westburn.
What was the sentence going to be?
Can't recall. Don't remember saying a thing. Out of bounds on the outer side.
Well done by Sheridan. Got an important hand in there. If Hill misses running goals like that, you know not everything is right with Fremantle top.
But again, it wasn't. We know how classy Stephen Hill is, but he was under enormous pressure. They've stood up really well, the North Melbourne defence.
Better in the last 5 minutes, though, Fremantle. And here's Fife. He's kicked 2 already. He could kick it from there, although he sends it towards the top of the square. Pavlich did well, wrestling with a couple. Grimer off the ground, did very well. Perfect kick, gained some meterage and then over the line.
Sometimes footy, when you're analysing it, can be pretty simple. And if you're watching it at home, every time there's been an even-numbered contest, you'd basically bet your bottom dollar the next jumper in is blue and white, whether it be in the air or on the ground. Their work rate's been enormous, North.
Just over 37,500, 37,624 tonight for the Len Hall tribute match, the 19th. Fremantle with such a good record in these games, but they're right on the back foot here. Well done, Nicky D.
Tommy, you talked about their work rate and how well they've done that tonight. Well, there's no doubt at three-quarter time they had enormous confidence that they had more run in their legs than Fremantle tonight.
Could be a turning point right here, a watershed moment for both these clubs. If Fremantle slumped to 3-3, the top 4 suddenly becomes a problem. Get a Western Derby next weekend. Or taken higher is Neil. He'll get the free kick. Still plenty of time for Fremantle, but if they've taken the last 27 minutes to score a behind, not filled with a lot of hope. Neil kicks inside the forward 50. Hangs a long time in the air. North Melbourne will get players to the contest. Roving it brilliantly, Subban. Fife deep in the pocket. Pulls it back. It floats down towards the goal square. Mullet.
Hey, sir.
or rather Bastanak. Bastanak took the mark and goes out wide to Gibson.
Gibson over the top quickly, draws the man. Here's Black. Now he wants to use McKenzie. He did. McKenzie goes back looking for Black. Tough one. Here's Pearce. Daniel Pearce has been good, particularly early. Runs towards the 50. Tough one to mark up in front. Subin. It clears the pack. At the back, Bastanak. Handball for Cunnington. Still under pressure, North, but the kick is excellent and the mark taken by Adams.
They're standing strong, aren't they?
Fremantle not prepared to try something different in terms of the way they're going forward. I mean, they just have to lower their eyes. They're getting it in there often enough, but just blazing away.
Atley, Hanson, Gibson on the burst around the outer side. Made it hard for Black at his ankles. Clancy, Pearce, Dawson. Rebounding now, Fremantle towards half forward. Was it touched in front of Fife? No. Fife's got it about 75 metres out then. Just lobs it high over the man's head.
3-on-1.
Yes, virtually 4. They all arrived. They had him in a cluster formation. To the outer side, Gibson.
Pat standing there, hands on hips. There's not much he can do about it. He's the lone key forward there. If logic tells you if it's 3-on-1, there has to be 2 other Fremantle players somewhere else.
Dennis summed it up. He said, if you've got a guy like Fife that's making a mistake like that and kicking it to a 3-on-1, then what hope have you got? You've got one of your very good ball user and class players.
Adams around the outer side.
And Black on his own, marks on his chest. The Peel Thunder product. He can bang long. Oh, offline and only just there, threatening North Melbourne. Another goal. And it's almost, believe it or not, with just over 8 minutes to play, almost out of Fremantle's reach the way they're playing. Quick ball in and Neil marks. So North by 10 points. Duffield to Crozier. And this is where they've had problems. Where does the next one go?
If we're comparing Fremantle to the very good sides in the competition, last year's grand finalists, if you were talking about Hawthorn or Geelong, you'd say they'd have a real chance at kicking quick multiple goals, whereas Fremantle, it's been a worry for them, even though they did make the grand final last year. Goal kicking.
Zungu was slow there. Del Santo closed the gap. Well done by Neil. Kept it alive. Fife, a little fumble. Main got it out, though. Well played to Crozier. Long kick again. Down towards Hill. Drifting in from the side. Johnson. Atley's recovery good. Ball across. Well done to Hanson. And now Adams clearing kick for Ferrito.
Play on you.
Short passes. Mundy grabs it. Little lob inside the 50. Untidy kick by Grimer coming out. So now Pearce has got the football with a chance to kick a goal. The angle will open up to the left footer. Huge kick. Still plenty of time, 7.5 minutes, but on exposed form, you don't see it happening.
It's terrific work on the mark by Lockie Hanson. To go back and kick this one, Pearce.
Runs to the 50. Well, it goes to the opposite pocket. Off hands. Clark was the highest leaper, and the ball goes out of bounds. So it'll be thrown in. Now 25 metres around from that behind post. Western end of Patterson Stadium. And Fremantle hanging on grimly. Sandilands trying to get it to run onto Mundy. Smothered off the boot. McKenzie out of there for Ferrito.
Ferrito's clearing kick. Mentioned him a moment ago. It was Grimer, and now the ball is over the line. So Fremantle having a run at it here. But it's got to be now. Chris Bond barking the instructions. General Manager of Football Operations. They work it okay across to Clancy, Pearce, Neil. Mundy was over the football. Sandilands on all fours. Over the footy now. Adams careful. He gets it to Atley. Takes them on. Just got away. Petrie. Now a quick kick. Through the middle of the ground. It wasn't bad. High ball. It hung in the air from McKenzie. Waiting for it. Eventually Crowley. Not great to Main. They work it out towards Mzungu. Thomas, though, he was brilliant. Petrie in game 250. High ball, it was smothered. Johnson, was he pushed in the back? Yes.
No touches in this turn. Well, nothing official for Boomer Harvey.
Thank you. Jono, right over.
He's mired on 29, but if you're going to be mired somewhere, 29 is not a bad spot to start.
Move it on, please. Play on.
Just
Play
over
on.
6 minutes remaining. Johnson. Long ball To midfield, Crozier was up, got one hand to it, falls behind, taken by Ferrito into the path of Adams. Run comes from Greenwood, strides out on the wing, goes down towards half forward. Harvey trying to turn his man, but the ball came off Duffield's hand and flew out of bounds. Still 10 points the margin. Clock stopped. Thrown in just outside the 50. Dorr, fingertips to it. Clever by Gibson, deflected the ball across to Zeeble. He was stripped of it though. Mundy grabs it. It's an ambitious kick. Pavlich step to step with him. Hansen. Ball goes out of bounds.
Had to be an ambitious kick, Den, because further down the field, 40 metres away from the kicker, was Ferrito, Grimer, 2-on-1 against Stephen Hill. Fremantle never going to be able to kick a score with that, as the West Coast captain Darren Glass
out suspended this week. Western Derby next week, so a bit to take in. And well, right now we think West Coast are a reasonable chance in the Derby. Carlton for them, of course, tomorrow. So we're into time on. Just over 5.5 to play. And it's North Melbourne by 10 points. Sandland's brilliant to fight, and Pearce marks on his chest. He wants to go. Thought about going to Mzungu. Pearce long from just on the 50. He's missed.
but it was quick and unpredictable. It was a fast break from Fife and a play on also from Daniel Pearce. They've just got to roll the dice here, Freo.
Mullet. It's slow to move. He was stunned. Coming through is Duffield. Zeeble was waiting.
That's holding the ball.
And it's got to be free kick. It's going North's way. That's the fourth time that particular post has been hit tonight. 9 points the difference. Zeeble from defence then. High ball towards the wing. Dorr launches himself. Dawson gets a fist on it. Knocks it out of bounds.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. I mean, biggest risk is to take no risk at all.
Correct.
And they just have to play on at all costs now, Fremantle.
Yeah, been very conservative tonight. I think they simply lost faith in their forward line at times. Del Santo, Gibson, run comes up half back. He's been very good. His final term has been outstanding. Atley drives it long. Harvey, well, he's dangerous when it's on the ground. Johnson, aware of that, takes it across the boundary line.
Well, the worrying thing for Fremantle is we all spoke about how much Freo had the game on their terms in the first 20-25 minutes, but only put one goal on the board. Need to find more creative and quicker scoring options than what they've currently got.
North by 9 points. Fife, well done. He sharked that from Dorr. It was a good hit out, had some power and purpose on it. Now Hill, he lost the football. It's in there, bottom of it. Mullet. Crozier had him. Comes back to Mullet. He needs to be careful here. Umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt, and up it'll go again. North Melbourne on the verge of getting their second massive scalp in the space of 3 weeks. A win against Sydney in Sydney 2 weeks ago, and staring at a victory here against Fremantle in Perth. Del Santo with a long kick at the back. Thomas, dangerous. Was he held onto by Spur? Could have been a free kick. Umpire put the whistle away, and in it will come.
You're both engaged each other.
Fair enough. Boundary throw in. 59-68. North on top. Dorr taps it down. Thomas! Thomas! Oh, what a goal! What a goal! They talk about making something out of nothing. He was in mid-air when he contacted that ball. The pressure that time was enormous from Fremantle defenders, sensing the very game was on the line. And Lindsay Thomas somehow, from deep in the pocket, under enormous pressure, has snapped the match-winning goal. Well, perhaps. A little while to go yet, but, gee, you would think so.
There's another third man up, Tom, with Majak Dorr going that third man up and just getting a bit of a clean tap to Lindsay Thomas, but clever goal.
Lindsay Thomas, his first goal of the night, gives North Melbourne a 15-point lead. And speaking of 15, Del Santo thumps it long. Majak Dorr, free kick. Gives it away to Dawson. He just wrapped him up. North Melbourne fans at that end of the ground thought, oh, hello. A short one from Sutcliffe to Mundy. Now, Mundy's kick, not a good one. Sheridan had a bit of work to do there, and if he gets it out of bounds, that will do. Was that on the full? Umpire says no. Three and 2 North Melbourne, 3-2 Fremantle. North on the verge of being 4-2 with those couple of massive scalps. And Fremantle 3-3. Hill not finished with yet. Long ball towards the 50. Pavlich, they need to be quick. McFarlane's forward. Terrible handball. McKenzie, he stood in the road and clears the ball towards the middle of the ground. Sandilands, finally his first mark of the night to Duffield.
Short one. Mundy. Driving kick down towards the attacking 50. McFarlane plays on immediately, taking a risk. Sutcliffe from 55. Not even close. Reimer goes back to Fox the footy. Sutcliffe ruining his misfortune, but it all came down to skill. I guess he's pretty tired though too. Reimer's got the ball. Had a couple of mistakes tonight. Basil called one, and the situation has been with him that, oh, Anzac door leaps in lieu of Thompson. Reimer's been very impressive back there. He's really embraced the responsibility. Boundary throw in. Or is it going to be a North Melbourne ball for on the full? I thought it might have been touched, but Gibson's got it. Clock is down to 2.5, and you'd have to say now that North Melbourne are home. So many people coming into the season high on North Melbourne. After their first game, some people I think dropped off. Here's Bastanak, but they'll be back in force now. So much to like about North's victory tonight. Sandilands goes up again. Another mark, plays on. Five sold into trouble. Hill runs the outer side.
Kicks towards full forward. That was well done by McDonald. He fisted away Zeeble. They're just trying to get it over the line now. They know they've got this game in their keeping. Grimer, Adams, in the end Gibson, who's kicked a couple of goals tonight. He's been really important. And the short kick for Cunnington is good. They'll just slow things down now. What a victory it will be by North Melbourne, Wayne.
I think that's been the really pleasing thing about this victory. We saw the Kangaroos lose a lot of close games last year and play some really good attacking footy, but at times tonight they've been able to slow the game down and play it on their terms. I haven't seen that from the Kangaroos. I've seen a little bit this year, but haven't seen it for a long time.
One of those after the siren, of course, against the West Coast Eagles. Johnson thumps it long.
Oh.
Petrie, the milestone man, with a milestone touch.
He's had a good night, Drew Petrie. His work rate's been outstanding. 15 touches and 2 goals. And Wayne, I guess when you're talking about the maturation of a club, it's those four to six, just touched on the line, the 4 to 6 year players who are going to be the future leaders, and Gibson and Cunnington and Bastanak and Zeeble now starting to take control of games at the crucial moments.
And full credit to the goal umpire there. Did a great job. Who would have expected in the dying moments of the game such athleticism from Petrie, just twisting his body inside out to touch that one and conceding nothing.
I've got to say, I enjoyed not calling for the review also.
Yeah.
Great job.
Well, it's a poison chalice, really, that review. It's on a roll in the wrong direction. There goes the kick, and it misses to the near side. So nothing for the Dockers. At half-time, they were 6-8. They're 8-13. A lot to think about in that box. Elation in the other box on Anzac Day. Harvey to bring it in, I dare say. I was going to say kick it to himself and run to the pocket, but goes short to Gibson. And that's barely 15 metres. You can see where Gibson's gone back to take the kick. Long ball. Off hands, it falls in front for Rito. Spur. Well done by McDonald. That hurt, but you won't feel it soon. Johnson tries to paddle it across. Sheridan put it into the path of Crozier, and there's going to be a free kick. It's going North's way for in the back. We're down to 8 seconds, so that will be the last action of the night.
Guys.
No point in this now.
Thank you. Kicks here.
Well done by North Melbourne. Just wait for this final siren. Started slowly, finished strongly. That man paced them early, got off the leash against his nemesis. Wasn't the case tonight. He really turned the tables. Crowley the first.